Well, here we have the second installment of the Hellraiser series. I think it may be my personal favorite. It still holds the same feel and many of the same characters as the first, but I find the pace is more intense and the storyline is still as rich as the first, if not surpassing it. We start with Pinhead as a human. This, the first we see him as such, as he opens the box, a backstory that applies for the next couple of films. I love how the Cenobites arrive for him. They really got away from that after this movie. And Pinhead being assembled, that's awesome as well. Well, after the events of the first film, Kirsty's in a psychiatric hospital, in shock really. And, is that the guy from Platoon? Never mind. We also have a doctor who's obsessed with how the brain works. You never get to trusting him near the beginning and is well suited for the antagonist. Also, meet Kyle. He plays a minor role. The character is a bit of a sucker though, getting in way over his head. And Tiffany, she's a bit of a problem solver and vital to the storyline. She also doesn't talk very much. Like I was saying, this doc is a little off and is obsessed with hell. He has patients who are tortured by themselves and he studies them in order to gain more knowledge on this gateway to hell. The doc has the mattress that Julia died on. The doc uses a patient to bring her back and further his knowledge. It's pretty gross watching him cut himself up and all, and this guy is just so messed up. Wow. Well, the plan works and Julia comes back to life and feeds on this poor guy. I can't imagine how shocked the doc must have been to see his plan actually pan out and work. It's weird seeing her do simple things like drinking this wine. It just grosses me out. It's odd how things work. Julia's now in the same position that Frank was in the first film. I like how this movie went with that. Kyle, like I was saying, had no idea what he was getting himself into, and Julia does him in. She's gross even with skin on. Well, like I was saying, Tiffany is vital in this, especially for the doc. The doc uses her ability to solve puzzles to open the box and summon the Cenobites. And this is what I mean regarding my other reviews on later sequels. The box just gets easier to open, whereas in the first two it was hard. It could hardly be done by accident. But when they come, Pinhead spares the girl, declaring it was desire that brought them there and not the girl, which I thought added depth to the character. They weren't just mindless opportunists, they had real purpose, as twisted as it may be. As Doc takes a tour of hell, this, I notice, is a more terrifying version of hell, I think, all human-made, sometimes just off the wall. And, what the... okay... This hell is one big labyrinth, which I find really well done. Kirsty, reuniting with the Cenobites, is filled with short but interesting dialogue, and I think this movie is really where fans fell in love with Pinhead. I love that they explain what this hell is about to some degree. Leviathan is the god of, flesh, hunger, and desire, I think, which really fits and helps describe the Cenobites' motivation, I suppose. The doc is eventually turned into a Cenobite by Leviathan. It's very sadistic, but it holds my attention, that's for sure. When I first saw this, I thought another Pinhead was being made when the wires went across his face. Julia brings Tiffany to Frank, and it's kind of a reunion in a way, minus Tiff. And then she rips Frank's freaking heart out. Wow.
Finish him! Fatality!
The doc looks great as the bad Cenobite. Weird that there can be one worse than the others, but in this movie it's true. I find that there's just way more depth in the first two movies than the sequels, with the only exception being Inferno. When Kirsty shows Pinhead his own picture in human form, it's the only time you see some internal reflection from the character. He's caught off guard and caves into it, a fascinating reaction from him. This results in Pinhead actually defending the girls. Tiffany ends up solving the box, which results in Doc dying, although I don't get how they die in hell. Do they return or do they just fade into oblivion? The box closes as well as the dimension in which it exists. This leads to the end where we see this. And honestly, I don't even know what this is supposed to be. Maybe someone will let me know on my channel, but that leads into our third part of the series. This film is a great installment in the series, like I was saying. The effects were great, which I suppose is a product of the time in which it was made, which is a complaint I have about all the later films. I actually think the effects from these first couple films outdo all the others. Doug Bradley was great, and it was cool to get a sense of the origin of the character, although Spencer leaves the Pinhead character, and for the rest of the series, technically it's a different Pinhead, or that's my understanding at least. Well, that's all for this one. 2 more films in the series left to do, and maybe a little extra. The Hellraiser Marathon continues on HMRG. Thanks for watching.